Our next presentation, with the title, What are the Challenges and Barriers Facing Accessible Air Travel? Please join me in welcoming to the stage Senior Manager of Facilitation, Passenger Services and Operations at ACI World Canada, Mr. Jean-Sebastien.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you today about accessible travel and how we can remove barriers and challenges. So when we talk about accessibility in air travel, it needs to be a collaborative approach between all aviation stakeholders. And it's key to provide a seamless and barrier-free experience for all travelers, including those with disabilities. As demands for assistance grows with the return of more passengers in these post-pandemic times, the industry needs to find innovative ways to assist and to meet the needs of everyone. And also with aging populations in many key markets, this trend of assistance is likely to continue. And aviation, like many other industries, is struggling to find the required level of resources needed to enhance the overall air travel experience. This is why communication between passengers and aviation stakeholders is key to know what is needed and when, so that every traveler has access to a safe, reliable, and proper travel experience. So some of you might not be familiar with Airports Council International, so allow me to give you some key highlights of who we are and what are some of our main activities related to accessibility in air travel. ACI's mission is to advance the collective interests and act as the voice of the world's airports and the communities they serve. And we also promote professional excellence in airport management operations. We foster cooperations amongst our member airports and industry partners. We provide best practices and guidance to ensure that the global air transport system is safe, secure, efficient, and sustainable. We are active in all regions of the world and 5 regional offices in addition to the one in Montreal, where I'm from. As of January 2023, so last year, our membership included 712 members located in 1,925 airports around the world in 171 countries. You can see here on this slide the regional representation of our members, and furthermore, we can add also we have more than 700 world business partners that are key in the aviation world. Every day, a complex network of people, companies, organizations, and government authorities work together to facilitate the flow of passengers and goods worldwide. Accessibility is one of the pillars of ensuring the best possible customer experience for everyone. And with that in mind, airports implement new technologies, efficient information management systems, and deliver infrastructure projects to improve terminal flows and processes. So ACI World is fully committed to building a more accessible and inclusive air transport system. Our members recognize that people with disabilities and those with reduced mobility require a focus on design of accessible infrastructure and in inclusive passenger journeys. Accessibility is covered in various ways throughout our activities, and I'd like to highlight some of the following ones. In advocacy and guidance, accessibility is covered under the ACI World Facilitation and Services Standing Committee. We also have an accessibility working group. It's a subset of the committee that looks at how we can make airports more accessible by sharing tools, best practices, guidance, ideas, and surveys. We also represent airports at ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization, with the review of provisions of the Annex 9 related to facilitation, and more specifically, those provisions related to accessibility. ACI was a key stakeholder in the accessibility resolution that was voted at ICAO at its 41st Assembly last fall. And finally, we issue guidance as the publication, like the Airports and Persons with Disabilities Handbook, that incorporates recommendations and best practices on passenger journeys and how to design new and improving existing facilities. We also work on assessments and accreditation. Now more than a year old, the Accessibility Enhancement Accreditation Program includes a growing network of more than 35 airports, including Dubai Airport. That was the first one in the Middle East that was accredited a few months ago. We also have in the Middle East Ahmad Airport, Bahrain Airport in the region that's recently accredited, and Istanbul Airport was the first one in the world, and you'll hear about our colleague, Ms. Hilal Karaman, later this afternoon. So far, 16 airports are accredited, and it's a continuous path through improvements of accessibility measures. And my last point on activities is online trainings and classroom trainings. We make sure to raise awareness and support accessible travel. One of our key training provider is Open Doors organization, and you've heard about Eric Lipp today. He's here at the conference to talk to you about some of these elements. So when we look at industry challenges, and more specifically the airport's challenges, we know that everything's not perfect. You've heard about different cases today. Especially in air travel, there are multiple challenges and barriers that limit everyone's ability to get to their final destination and back. As you may know, air travel is a complex ecosystem. It includes various players located in multiple countries that have their own regulations. The pressure is high. It involves time-sensitive processes to deliver on-time performance. Safety and security is in everyone's mind, and every airport is different. And every airport has their own business model, constraints, and opportunities. But I thought it was useful to provide an overview of 5 types of barriers to accessible experiences. The first barrier is the physical barriers, when an environment prevents a physical access to some people, such as a lack of a slope ramp for passengers with reduced mobility. A second barrier is the attitudinal, the attitudes. So this barrier results in people with disabilities being treated differently than people without a disability. This can be overcome by providing comprehensive training and awareness campaigns. We also have barriers like the information and communication. It occurs when a person with a disability cannot easily receive or understand the information that's available to others. There's the fourth barrier, the systemic. These are the policies, the practices, and the procedures that result in some people receiving unequal access or being excluded. And finally, the technological. It occurs when technology, the way it's used, does not meet the needs of all people. So with these types of barriers in mind, it's more effective to understand how persons with disabilities may be disadvantaged when they encounter some barriers in their environment. So ACI and airport members are committed to providing the highest level of services to customers. We want to hear from them and how we are doing at airports. We're working on the development of a survey to help understand the needs of customers with disabilities and those with health conditions, and how can airports best meet those needs. In this survey that will be out later this year, we will specifically look at and hear about directly by travelers about their comments, their inputs, or make sure we understand how parents, guardians, or carriers with a disability or a chronic health condition has some feedback for us. Our goal is to identify those limitations or those restrictions that impact the customer and their ability to travel by air. We want to identify what are the main reasons why a person hasn't traveled in the last year or traveled less frequently. But there's always also innovations at airports that are being looked at. So airports around the world are investing investing in creative and innovative solutions to enhance the passenger experience and take into account the need for accessible travel. Here are only a few of these recent examples that I wanted to show you today. You have the Incheon Airport Autonomous People Movers, Istanbul Airport Sign Language Initiative, Vancouver Airport Assistive Navigation App, Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport Travel Confident Education Center, Dubai Airport Travel Planner and Visual Guide, and finally Montreal Trudeau Airport Pet Squad. So in summary, from temporary to permanent disabilities, from speech, vision, and hearing impairments, to communication and mobility limitations, there are significant and growing needs for offering travel with accessibility. Ensuring equal access to air travel is simply the right thing to do, and from an ethical standpoint, but also it makes good business sense, as we've heard earlier today. ACI World is fully committed to building a more accessible and inclusive air transport system. So stay tuned for more announcements to come related to the Accessibility Accreditation Program or the survey on accessibility and barriers identification. Our wish is to enhance the interactions between passengers, airport members, aviation and travel and tourism partners from around the world. So thank you for your attention. I think everyone's quite hungry now. And once again, thank you for inviting me, and I wish you a great conference. Thank you.